If you're over 60, I urge you to take a few minutes to hear this. A familiar fruit, something you've probably been eating since you were a child, could be silently increasing your risk of stroke every night, without you even realizing it. No symptoms, no warning signs. You go to bed feeling perfectly fine and wake up unable to speak, stand or move half your body. It sounds unbelievable, I know, but as a neurologist, I've seen this happen more often than you'd think. Not because of smoking, not because of fast food, but from fruit, something most people consider completely healthy. After 60, your body changes in ways that catch many by surprise. Your kidneys, liver, blood vessels, and brain no longer process sugar, potassium, or acid the way they used to. Add medications, slower circulation, and nighttime dehydration, and suddenly, an innocent piece of fruit becomes a hidden danger. That's why today, I'll walk you through 7 common fruits that could quietly cause harm if eaten the wrong way or at the wrong time, especially if you're over 60. If you're serious about protecting your brain and heart, stay tuned. And if you're watching this video and want more simple science-backed tips to support your heart and brain health, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. This channel is dedicated to sharing real, trustworthy advice for those over 50. And if today's topic really speaks to you, leave a comment below with the word yes, so we know you're with us. You might be surprised which fruits made the list and why. Now, let's begin with one of the most familiar ones. Let's move on to a fruit that's small, sweet, and refreshing, but may carry more risk than most people realize. Grapes. At first glance, they seem completely harmless, don't they? Whether sprinkled over a salad, packed into a lunchbox, or shared with the grandkids during a sunny afternoon, grapes feel like one of the most innocent snacks around. But for those of us over 60, this tiny fruit can come with unexpected consequences. Here's why. Grapes are essentially concentrated sugar in a small package. Even the seedless, so-called healthy ones, especially the super sweet varieties found in most supermarkets, are loaded with glucose and fructose. When you eat a handful, particularly on an empty stomach, the sugar rushes straight into your bloodstream. And it does it fast. As we age, our bodies don't respond to sugar the same way. Insulin response slows down. Blood vessels grow more fragile. So instead of just giving you a boost of quick energy, that sugar spike can place silent stress on your heart and brain. Inside those delicate vessels, sugar causes microscopic inflammation and damage. Your body responds by forming tiny clots to heal the area. You won't feel it at first, but over time, this hidden damage builds up. Until one day, something changes. Maybe your balance is off. Maybe you're suddenly struggling to find the right words. That's what happened to Mr. Thomas Baker, a 74-year-old retired postmaster from Oregon. A strong, self-reliant man, Thomas loved his daily routine, especially his morning bowl of green grapes, while flipping through the newspaper. Some days he'd go through almost 2 cups without giving it a second thought. But one morning, while signing a check, his hand trembled slightly. Moments later, he couldn't recall his own zip code. His wife rushed him to the ER. The diagnosis: a transient ischemic attack, a warning stroke. His labs showed elevated blood sugar and early signs of inflammation. Grapes alone didn't cause it, but the combination of excess sugar, morning dehydration, and age-related changes created a perfect storm. The lesson: don't snack on grapes by the bowl. Avoid them on an empty stomach. Instead, eat just a small handful with a few almonds or a bit of cheese to slow the sugar hit. And definitely skip them before bed. Your body needs steady blood flow during sleep, not sudden sugar spikes. If you're on diabetes meds or managing high blood pressure, ask your doctor before making grapes a daily habit. Even small things can carry big risks if we're not paying attention. It's not about fear, It's about being smart, especially when your body no longer responds the way it used to. Fruit isn't bad. In fact, it can be part of a very healthy lifestyle. But how you eat it and when you eat it matters more as you age. So remember, portion control timing and pairing with protein or healthy fats are key. Stay tuned as we continue exploring more fruits that could either help or harm your health after 60. Your wellness is worth the attention. And just wait until we talk about mangoes. A soft, juicy tropical delight, naturally sweet and refreshing. It feels like a reward from nature itself. But for those over 60, especially anyone on medication for blood pressure, cholesterol, or heart rhythm, this beloved fruit may carry more danger than you'd expect. Here's the reality. Mango is one of the highest sugar fruits you'll find at the grocery store. A single cup of ripe mango packs nearly 45 grams of natural sugar. That's more than what you'd find in a glazed donut. Now imagine how that sugar bomb hits an aging body. As we get older, insulin response slows down, blood vessels grow more delicate, and sugar metabolism becomes less efficient. That sudden sugar surge from a bowl of mango doesn't just give you a sweet buzz. It quietly inflames your arteries, especially those that supply blood to the brain. This inflammation creates microscopic cracks in the vessel walls. And what does your body do in response? It tries to seal those cracks by forming tiny clots. In younger adults, that process usually doesn't cause much harm. But in older adults, especially those with narrowed arteries, even a small clot can reduce blood flow enough to trigger a stroke. And the risks don't stop there. Mango also contains a compound called mangiferin. It might sound harmless, but it can interfere with your liver's ability to process certain medications, particularly those that rely on the cytochrome P450 enzyme system. This includes many standard drugs for heart rhythm, blood pressure, and cholesterol. When mangiferin slows liver function, your medications start to build up in your system. At first there may be no signs, but over time the effects show up as dizziness, fatigue, or even dangerous drops in blood pressure or irregular heart rhythms. Let me give you an example. Mrs. Dorothy Hughes, 81, a retired school principal from Oregon, decided to swap her afternoon cookies for dried mango slices. She was on medication for high blood pressure and arrhythmia. At first it seemed like a smart choice, but after a few weeks, she began feeling dizzy in the mornings. Then one day she fainted while brushing her teeth. Her husband found her on the bathroom floor, her speech slurred, and the left side of her face drooping. At the hospital, doctors confirmed a mild ischemic stroke. Her lab results showed dangerously elevated medication levels despite taking the prescribed dose. The culprit was her liver's reduced ability to break down medication slowed by daily mango consumption. So here's my advice. Enjoy mango, but in moderation. Eat just a few bites and only during the day. Never have mango late at night, especially not dried mango, which is even more concentrated. Always pair it with protein or fat like almonds or cheese to help blunt the sugar impact. And most importantly, if you're on any heart or blood pressure medications, talk to your doctor before making mango a regular part of your diet. Sometimes even the most natural foods can pose serious risks if we're not paying close attention. But let's talk about oranges, a fruit we've trusted for decades, packed with vitamin C, touted for heart health. But could this breakfast staple actually pose a hidden risk for those over 60, especially if you're on medication? Let's take a closer look. Picture this: a fresh glass of orange juice with your toast, a sliced orange on the kitchen table, or even one nestled in your Christmas stocking from the grandkids. Feels comforting, right? But here's what most older adults were never told. Oranges, and especially orange juice, can quietly interfere with your medications. Now, yes, the sugar in juice alone is enough to spike your blood sugar quickly. But the real issue lies deeper. Citrus fruits like oranges, grapefruit, and Seville oranges contain a compound called furanocoumarin. It's a mouthful, but the effect is serious. Furanocoumarin interferes with the enzymes in your liver, the same ones responsible for breaking down many of the medications older adults rely on daily. When those enzymes are disrupted, your body may hold on to too much of the drug or fail to process it at all. That means your usual blood pressure med could suddenly drop your pressure too low. Your statin might build up in your system, causing muscle pain or mental fog. A blood thinner may not work as intended, leaving you at risk for dangerous clotting or bleeding. This isn't just theory, it's something I've witnessed firsthand. Take Ms. Linda Rayburn, age 77, a retired librarian from Michigan. She started every morning with freshly squeezed orange juice, her sunshine in a glass, as she called it, taken alongside her heart and cholesterol medications. At first, everything felt fine. But slowly, things changed. She began feeling dizzy when she stood up. Some mornings, she felt groggy or disoriented. Then, one afternoon, she fainted while folding laundry. At the hospital, tests showed she'd experienced a mild ischemic stroke, and her blood levels of medication were dangerously high. She hadn't changed her dosage. But that daily dose of citrus, it had quietly slowed her liver's ability to process the very medications she depended on. The buildup had been silent until it wasn't. So here's what I recommend to all my patients over 60: limit or skip orange juice if you're on medications like statins, calcium channel blockers, or blood thinners. Don't take citrus and pills together without checking with your doctor. Craving citrus flavor. A light squeeze of lemon or lime in your water is usually safer. It has fewer interactions and still gives you that fresh zing. Because in this stage of life, even something as innocent as an orange can tip the balance inside your body, and you may not realize it until it's too late. So next time you reach for a glass of orange juice, remember this story. Your morning habit could be silently affecting your health. Ask questions, be aware, because small changes can make a big difference, especially after 60. Let's talk about a familiar fruit, one that seems harmless, but may actually pose hidden health risks: the banana. Yes, those soft, sweet, comforting fruits we've enjoyed since childhood. Bananas are easy to digest, packed with nutrients, and often seen as one of the safest snacks around. But after age 60, especially when they become overripe, bananas might not be as innocent as they seem. What many people don't realize is this: as bananas ripen, their starch turns into sugar. That's why the riper the banana, the sweeter it tastes. But along with that sweetness comes a much higher glycemic index, meaning it causes your blood sugar to spike more quickly. And if you're over 60, that can be a bigger issue than you think. Why? Because your body no longer handles sugar, potassium, or blood pressure the way it once did. The kidneys slow down. Insulin sensitivity declines. Blood vessels lose flexibility. And that soft spotted banana you toss into your morning smoothie might be silently spiking your blood sugar, elevating your blood pressure, and even affecting your heart rhythm due to its high potassium content. Let me share the story of Linda, a 72-year-old retired accountant from Arizona. Every morning, she'd eat 2 very ripe bananas, sometimes in oatmeal or blended into a smoothie. She believed it was a healthy way to start her day. But one morning, after waking up, she felt dizzy and her speech became slurred. Her daughter rushed her to the ER, where doctors diagnosed her with a mild stroke. Her blood pressure had surged overnight, and her potassium levels were unusually high. The doctors explained that while bananas weren't the only factor, the combination of overripe fruit, high sugar and potassium, and overnight dehydration created a risky situation. After that scare, Linda made a simple change. She switched to eating just ripe bananas and only after drinking water and having a little protein, like a boiled egg. The results were encouraging. She felt more energetic, more alert, and her blood pressure began to stabilize. The takeaway here is this: bananas aren't the enemy. But overripe bananas, especially when eaten in large amounts or on an empty stomach, can quietly nudge older adults closer to stroke risk. And believe it or not, bananas aren't the only fruit with this kind of hidden danger. Pomegranate, a superfruit, with a secret risk for seniors. Now let's talk about something that's often called a superfruit, the pomegranate. Beautiful ruby red seeds rich in antioxidants and praised for heart health. But could this health-boosting fruit carry risks for people over 60, especially those on certain medications? The answer might surprise you. Pomegranate juice shows up in everything from breakfast smoothies to health drinks, and it's often marketed as a heart-friendly option. For good reason, it contains powerful polyphenols that fight inflammation and oxidative stress. But what many don't know is that pomegranate, like grapefruit, can interfere with how your body processes medications. Here's what's happening behind the scenes. Pomegranate inhibits the CYP3A4 enzyme, a crucial part of your liver's system for breaking down drugs. This means that certain medications, particularly those for blood pressure, cholesterol, and heart rhythm, don't get processed properly. Instead, they build up in your bloodstream, quietly increasing the risk of side effects like dizziness, dangerously low blood pressure, or even heart rhythm changes. This isn't just theoretical. Consider the story of Mr. James Wilcox, a 76-year-old retired pilot from Arizona. He began drinking a glass of pomegranate juice every morning, thinking it was a heart-healthy alternative to coffee. At the same time, he was taking medications for atrial fibrillation and high cholesterol. At first, he felt energized, but within a few weeks, he started experiencing episodes of fatigue and lightheadedness. One morning, after climbing a short flight of stairs, he felt short of breath and collapsed. At the ER, doctors discovered his blood pressure had dropped sharply, and his medication levels were far above normal. The likely culprit, that daily glass of pomegranate juice, had slowed his liver's ability to clear the drugs from his system. Avoid drinking pomegranate juice within 2 to 3 hours of taking your medications, especially if you're on statins, calcium channel blockers, or blood thinners. Talk to your doctor or pharmacist to make sure your medications don't interact with pomegranate. Talk to your doctor or pharmacist to make sure your medications don't interact with pomegranate. And remember, just because something is natural doesn't always mean it's risk-free. In this stage of life, even a so-called superfruit can tip the scales in the wrong direction if we're not paying close attention. And if you thought pomegranate was something to watch out for, wait until we talk about watermelon, the fruit everyone associates with hydration. It's cool, sweet, and 90% water. But here's the surprise for older adults. It might be quietly dehydrating your brain instead of helping it. Let's break it down. Watermelon is a summertime favorite. Light, juicy, refreshing, it seems like the perfect snack, especially on hot days. But there's a little-known fact. Watermelon acts as a natural diuretic. That means it makes you urinate more. At first glance, that doesn't seem like a big deal. But when you add in blood pressure medications or water pills commonly prescribed to seniors, it becomes a concern. Imagine this: you've taken your evening meds and finish off the day with 2 big slices of watermelon. You feel refreshed, maybe even proud of your healthy choice. But overnight, while you sleep, your body is quietly losing fluid. You don't notice it. You don't wake up thirsty, but inside, your blood is getting thicker like syrup. And thickened blood is more likely to form clots, especially in aging narrowed arteries. Combine that with naturally lower blood pressure during sleep, and suddenly you've got a recipe for a silent stroke. Let me share a real story. Mr. Ronald Chin, 82, a retired delivery driver from Wisconsin, had been doing everything right. He exercised daily, cut down on sweets, and swapped dessert for fresh watermelon after dinner. But one morning, he woke up dizzy. When he stood, he collapsed. At the hospital, tests revealed he was severely dehydrated. His blood pressure had plummeted. His blood was thick, and he had suffered a minor ischemic stroke overnight. The culprit watermelon combined with his diuretic medication had tipped the balance. So here's the takeaway. Enjoy watermelon, but have it earlier in the day and only in moderation. Don't pair it with your nighttime meds. If you're on water pills, talk to your doctor before making it a daily habit. Add a pinch of salt or sip some coconut water to help your body hold on to hydration. And if you wake up with dry mouth dizziness or feel off balance, listen to your body. These aren't random signs. They might just be your body's way of saying, something's not right. Now, if watermelon surprised you, just wait until we talk about pineapple, that sweet tropical treat many of us enjoy after dinner. It feels light, juicy, and harmless. But for those over 60, especially anyone on blood thinners or circulation medications, pineapple can quietly become a perfect storm, one that may increase your stroke risk while you sleep. Here's why. Pineapple contains a natural enzyme called bromelain. In small doses, bromelain can be helpful. It supports digestion by breaking down proteins. But in larger quantities or when combined with blood-thinning medications, it can go from helpful to harmful. Bromelain interferes with your blood's ability to clot. In plain terms, it can make your blood too thin. And when blood gets too thin, the risk of internal bleeding rises, particularly in the brain. Brain bleeds are one of the hardest types of strokes to recover from. But bromelain isn't the only concern. Pineapple is also very high in sugar and has a high glycemic index. That means it spikes your blood sugar rapidly, especially dangerous if consumed after dinner when your body slows down and isn't burning energy as efficiently. The sugar lingers in your bloodstream, stressing blood vessels as you sleep. And there's one more factor to consider: the acid. Pineapple is among the most acidic fruits on the shelf. For older adults, even a few slices can silently trigger nighttime acid reflux. You may not feel heartburn, but tiny amounts of stomach acid can creep into your airways while you sleep. That lowers oxygen to the brain, which has been directly linked to early morning strokes, the most dangerous kind. Let me share the story of Mr. Douglas Evans, age 78, a retired electrician from New Mexico. He had made what he thought was a smart dietary swap. No cookies or cake, just a few pieces of fresh pineapple after dinner. It became his healthy evening ritual. But one morning he woke up disoriented. When he tried to walk, he lost his balance. His wife noticed his speech was slightly slurred. At the hospital, scans showed a minor posterior stroke. His blood sugar was elevated, platelet levels were imbalanced, and signs of sleep-related oxygen drops were present. The cause, a combination of sugar acid and bromelain, all from that seemingly innocent fruit. So here's my advice. Enjoy pineapple, but in moderation and earlier in the day. Avoid eating it on an empty stomach, and never pair it with blood thinners unless your doctor gives the green light. And most importantly, don't eat pineapple before bed. Your brain needs steady oxygen and restful sleep, not hidden risks. Because even something that seems fresh and healthy can become a silent danger, especially overnight. Now that we've explored these 7 surprising fruits, you might be feeling a bit uncertain, wondering what's truly safe to eat. And you know what? That's perfectly normal. Because becoming aware of hidden risks is the very first step in protecting your brain, your heart, and your independence for the years ahead. As we age, even the healthiest habits deserve a second look. Foods that once helped us may quietly start to work against us. That doesn't mean you have to fear fruit. It simply means you need to be more mindful about how, when, and what you eat. This isn't about giving things up. It's about making smarter choices. A smaller portion earlier in the day paired with a bit of protein or healthy fat can make all the difference. And always consult your doctor when making changes, especially if you're on medications. because your brain health, your heart, and your quality of life are worth protecting. If this video opened your eyes or helped you rethink some of your daily habits, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to Health Mastery 365, and let us know in the comments by typing the word AWARE so we know you're taking positive steps for your health. And remember this, you've come this far in life with wisdom, resilience, and strength. Now is the time to keep that going, one smart choice at a time.